Hi. We are gathered here at Khayat Gallery, Mr. Bahrawi's gallery, with myself, Alicia Ali, and Kitty Rabbas. Kitty is an art collector, and we have an interesting journey here that we will present to you, and that is the journey with the fusion of art and a fusion of poetry. The journey towards light, and we will learn about art and its effect. To begin with, I will recite Love Revolution. Love Revolution describes Kitty Rabbas's journey, and this is what we're going to learn about today. Love Revolution. Art is revelation, a divine inspiration, a heavenly calculation from a heart's incubation. A heavenly calculation from a heart's incubation to a palate's salutation, an inner imitation. An inner imitation dipped in the wine of palpitation, a canvas manipulation, a mystical hibernation. A mystical hibernation, a light manifestation, for the world's salvation, hung for appreciation, mesmerized in admiration, glanced upon with flirtation, an intimate personification, the soul to brush fruition we call Love Revolution. So Kitty, I would like to hear from you. If you could describe this particular piece that you have.
Maria Smarro, I met her in Germany. She's like a Romanian artist, a painter. And I was introduced to her through a friend of mine. And she would always speak about like the eternal duality, and like she would introduce me to like mystical concepts which I've never actually kind of like was familiar with, or like I've came across, but I just didn't pay attention. And especially this sentence, like the eternal duality, it kept me always thinking, and I always wondered, like, what does she actually mean by it? So later on, when I started to look closer at her paintings, this was the first painting I really kind of like took with me to Saudi, because I was doing some homework with some children. I used to work in a family, and I used to help them with the homework. It was called Islam and Modern Life. Are they blending or are they opposing? And then I'm not actually sure why I was struggling, but the kids were all the time like taking all my time. I had like no privacy left anymore, and I'm not sure if it was I was struggling because of this, or if it was because I couldn't find an answer to Islam and modern life, if they're blending or opposing. Because whatever I told them, they should blend, they shouldn't be opposing each other, they would always reject the arguments I would bring forth. And so like I started really struggling. And then this is the first painting I thought, because it really responded to my condition, I was just like boiling. And she was actually kind of like painting it, because also she was like in Germany, which she was struggling. She came from Romania. The culture is very different, like to Germany. So I was magnetized by it, and she painted it in the same condition as I was in Saudi.
Wow. Okay.
And then a little bit later, the children, they kind of pushed me to read the Quran, and what was speaking to me in between the lines, like implicitly, but sometimes even explicitly, was like we have, for example, here I wrote it out next to the painting, like in Surah 51, Adariyat.
Yes. Okay.
There is in Ayah 49, and we created pairs of all things so that you people might take note. So I kind of thought, I kind of understood what she meant with the dualities, the pairs. I mean, it's actually quite obvious, but like I made a connection. And then it's like, I pretty soon, I kind of felt really like magnetized by the Quran. Even though I didn't really know what I was reading, it's just like I felt comfortable. And only like 4 months after reading it first time, I made my Shahada.
After 4 months.
But it's really started kind of like me being on struggle. And I think this is all the time when there's one sentence in the book I've displayed on the table. It says like, the place you struggle in, maybe that's the place you find your answer in. I mean, for me, you know, it's again a sentence you probably just like notice when you went through something like this. Maybe otherwise you overlook such a sentence. And yeah, it's like, because for me it was true. I struggled here and I found, and I count.
So these paintings were pivotal or instrumental for your journey.
Yes.
At that time when you took Shahada, did you have this entire collection or what did you have at that time?
At this stage I only had like, I had maybe 5 paintings.
Okay.
Then after the Shahada, I actually added also, after my Shahada, I added a Saudi artist. His name is like Abdul Nasser Garam. He had like this stamp poster. He created one stage a big stamp, and then he made a poster of it with have a bit of commitment, amen. And because I said in one stage to Abdul Aziz, to one of the children I did the homework with, I have to make a commitment. So when I saw this, like, have a bit commitment, amen, this was like, that's exactly what I said.
Okay. In this process of your Shahada, there is a form of liberation people describe. Liberation, setting yourself free. So I'm going to recite to you, set yourself free. You are beautiful. You are you. You are not me. You are a part of the mystery. You are here for a purpose. You wish to be free. You desire unity. You must set yourself free. You must find your master. You must find your master. You will find your calling. You must yearn. You must search. You must ponder. You must discover this beauty. You must do your work. You must do your work. You must not do mine. You and I differ. We were never meant to be the same. You are unique. You must fulfill your covenant. You shall find your very place in this abode. You are promised happiness. You will discover truth. You must embrace yourself. You will find him through you. You will find him through you. Delve within where real beauty resides, for the treasure awaits you.
Wow, it's very beautiful.
So let's go over to this particular one here, where you can tell us a little bit about
I mean, like when I saw this one, this is one of the last paintings I actually added. And it's actually not done by Maria, it's done by a German artist. His name is Simon Rosenthal. When I looked at the initially I didn't really know. I was also the same like with Maria's paintings. I was really magnetized by it, and I could not take it out. I never buy them straight away. I always just like, no, some paintings I bought straight away, but I mean like this one, I just like, I liked it and I was attracted to it, but initially I thought the price was too high, so I didn't buy it. But when I was in Saudi, I couldn't take it out of my mind. And one night I woke up and I thought, oh my God, how can he be so honest? Because the portrait is called, the painting is called self-portrait. So initially I was always thinking, so who is who? Who is like soul and who is like self? Because I had those two dualities in mind all the time. But then I just realized, because he called it self-portrait, this is only the self, only the nafs. And then here it's very helpful, because I was just actually at the time, I was reading a book by Ghazali, and it's called Disciplining the Soul, he called, Riyadat al-Nafs, Kitab Riyadat al-Nafs. And he mentions in there that this self is having two base desires, which is like reproduction and like intake, the eating. I mean, this got us to this place to begin with. So like, that's why we fast, it's recommended in Islam. So I just thought in my mind, I take this guy, he's like really heavy with food, he's dull, he doesn't want to think anymore. And this ostrich or something, he's like just very loud, vanity, like some string of like which lead to like reproduction. He wants to be seen. I mean, so this is kind of like my thinking at the time was like this. And it must be true, because like it's dark. So as we know from the Quran, the self is supposed to be like very far removed, very in the darkness, and we are supposed to elevate it, to bring it to the light. So yes, this is reflecting for me the nafs.
Interesting. Now, an interesting element here within this journey, where you have Kitty's expressions, you have her interpretation, her journey explained through her art, yet at the same time, for a lot of things to happen, you need to basically come across in that path with certain individuals that do cross your path who are on the same sort of vibration, and for something else to happen. So initially when I met Kitty through a friend, I noticed we had a mirroring effect right away, and these two books, this one, The Tao of Islam by Sachiko Murata, was something I had on my shelf, and this one as well, Women of Sufism by Camille Adams Minsky. And there was a couple of other things that we had that were literally the same. And in our discussion, we said we have something to do together. And at that time, we hadn't figured it out, but we said there's some work that our souls, have together. And right now, what's happening is basically the circle coming to a close. This is like the culmination of that journey where we both basically transpired. So in that journey, you brought your art along, and
actually, especially the last 3 months, really.
Because you need to find people who can actually understand you. So when you yearn that, people are sent into your lives who you can actually pour yourself into somebody else's vessel, or at least attempt to, and some people get it. So we're trying to understand you. Actually, we're all inspired, and it seems that we, our paths were to meet. So I want to talk about this particular piece here prior to explaining the art. So this particular piece here, Kitty, it's called Our Religion is Love. Ultimately, when you transcend, certain ideologies or dogmas, you come to a point of higher realization where, labels or specific adherences really don't matter, and you come to a point of understanding, unity within duality. So this particular one is describing perhaps what a lot of people experience through that inner journey, and art and artists, how they play a role in this profession of love throughout the universe. Our religion is love. I was blindfolded without notice. I was blindfolded without notice, ushered into a cave. I tried to find the entrance. It disappeared. Stone walls surrounded me. I searched like a blind man. Hard, rocky, cold surface, earthen floor, low ceiling. I press against the walls. I stumble across. I stumble upon hidden doors, secret passages, staircases, corridors. As I enter each one, I find occupants already there, awaiting, smiling, winking, welcoming, embracing, singing, dancing, pondering, silent, reading, painting, writing. Their meditation, all engrossed in their works, all passionate, all full of love and light. We discuss and share, speak in our own language, exchange glances, release the inner locks, express our hearts, share our works, embrace and depart, an invisible web where all reside, where all work, where all connect, where all recognize, where all comprehend, where love prevails, where love transcends every ideology and thought, It is our religion. It is our religion, our life, our breath. We are people of the heart.
When I did my Shahada, I just felt it intuitively. I had to sign. But I didn't really, the knowledge came actually just the following year. After my Shahada, we traveled again for 3 months, and I was I was praying all the time, very, very, I followed all the prayer times, and I was really doing a very strict job with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was reading actually in one stage this book. I was reading it actually in my first Ramadan, The Tower of Islam, what Alicia mentioned before. And then I read it only in 10 days, and I read actually the same Ramadan. I also read a book which is mentioned in Women of Sufism, from Irina Tweedy, her journey. I read this book as well.
Seasons of Fire?
Yes. And when I came back to Germany after Ramadan, I made a trip to Germany, and Maria, she had another exhibition, and I saw this painting, and I was thinking, I think that's just what I was reading in the book. And so I just nobody paid attention in Germany to the painting at all. So I thought, I think I'm gonna buy it. And I used to be at the time, I don't know what you said before, at the time the people you need, they're always there, isn't it? I mean, this is throughout this whole journey. Actually, I really realized it, actually, after you highlighted it. Each time, on every level, somebody came, which I needed at the time. So I had a conversation with somebody, by writing, and I said to him, I presumed he was very knowledgeable in Islam. I said to him, I just bought a painting which is exactly how we look in Islam on the gender relation. So he said, he's not even Muslim. He said, Kitty, don't mistake the anchor with the sail and go off in some direction. So I was thinking, oh my God, this is really a very heavy criticism, isn't it? And it's really, but then I was thinking, maybe I'm wrong. So I wanted to make it out. I wanted to clarify it to myself that I was right. So all these boards you see here, I actually made 9 boards. I stretched them out, actually for him and for myself. But also I said, no, I'm going to explain it to him. When I started the email, I said, this is not easy explanation. And I ended up with those 9 boards.
Oh, wow.
But
so in that explanation, you ended up with...
Yes, but thanks goodness I did it. Because initially, what I recalled from the Tower of Islam, there was one sentence was echoing in my ears. She said, mankind is burdened with the trust So when I looked at this painting, I just like the burden, I just thought this was the burden of the trust, like the amana, I think you say in Arabic.
Right.
Yes. But then I was thinking, how come that only he is taking the trust, not she? Then I think I really, in this matter now, I had some divine help, because I don't know how I came up with those thoughts. Then I was just thinking, I was looking at the original from Dürer. Maybe you want to have a look. And so you see the sides are actually reversed here. Also she is actually having an apple. But so it seems like she is lured, and then afterwards she lures him. But I mean, this is not the case in Islam actually. So Maria, she leaves the fruit out completely. She doesn't mention the fruit at all. She only mentions the tree. Now, also Adam is on the right side, and then I realized it's actually standing for masculinity and for femininity. So the right side in Islam is considered the right side, the correct side. So masculinity was created first. So he's on the right side. She is on the left side because came out of him. So she's not like a secondary, but it's like she came after him. Now the painting is entitled Yin Yang, which really emphasizes on the balance. Even so, he is on the right side and he came first. They're not complete without each other. So it seems, if you kind of want to make a visual approach to it, it seems like this unity is like pushed on the masculine side. The first push was given, and then this is the start. Now, when we go in the color code to this painting, actually, I have to say something.
Go ahead.
The box then I described to myself as like masculinity is outward strength. It's like if you see something, khalas, also you take it, you lift it up. So if you see, or like the simplicity, if you're annoyed by something, khalas, you want to shout. The simplicity, the plainness, it's the masculine aspect, even in you and in me and in everybody. The feminine aspect is more complex because she came out of him. So she already had a form and she came out of him. So she is more detailed. But her heart, we emphasize in Islam, the heart is actually his color. Like it made by Allah. It's like the heavenly creation, the heart. So, and if you speak in the color code, actually the blue it's a royal color. It's like the colors of the heavens and the oceans. Orange, it's actually a color mix of yellow for intuition and of red for emotional intense. So this is and actually when you really think about it, this is the feminine composition. So, but orange as a color code is standing for ambition. So her ambition should be to help the masculine part, to help him in his religion. Now it's like the same like in you or me, like what's the feminine aspect in me, what's the masculine aspect. I made like a sketch. So this sketch you have like a sketched out like yin, feminine, earth, dark, soul or self, receptive. And then yang, masculine, heaven, light, spirit, active. So I just listed all these opposing characteristics. Like descriptions. I just like put them like to them. It's just like an easy understanding to the approach.
Like
anyway, the tree. Then I was thinking, what is kind of like here behind? So then I thought, okay, she's by having an image of Adam and Hawa, of Adam and Eve. This is like a Middle Eastern concept, Abrahamic concept, religious concept. But by calling it Yin Yang, she kind of points to Far Eastern universal truth, universal truth.
Right.
So the tree. Well, I was thinking that it's in Far Eastern belief, the yoga technique, for example, the spine is divided in chakras, in 7 chakras. And so So this is kind of the spine. This tree is the spine of an evolved generation. It's either evolved on the level of like on the individual level, if you evolved and you have elevated the self to come in harmony with the soul, or on the level of generation after Adam and Hawa. It's like a new generation, also orange, facing the universe, being aware of like that we are a servant. Because this have to be, again, orange ambitions to be a servant. And or on the level of society, like also like the dunya is like a servant. So also this is my interpretation.
Quite interesting. So these boards reflect.
Yes, these boards reflect the painting. And here I kind of made, because what's the inner aspect of the religion? It's mysticism, it's the thought. So I made like here, I called this board from yin to Ghazali's self, which needs to be disciplined. Like the first board, I called the feminine aspect of a religion, it's the thought.
Okay.
So I put like the kind of, I'm stretched out even to myself. First, what's behind the principle of Tai Chi Tu, like I think this is what they call it, like the Chinese symbol of Tai Chi Wu. What's behind it? And it says actually that, again, there is like eternal duality, there are two forces, and the masculine part, which is light, and the feminine part, which is dark. It's not like that the masculinity is always correct because he's on the right side. No, it's just like the symmetry is rotational. So sometimes he is right, sometimes she is right. It's never like a stagnant, he's always right and she's never right. So the second board, I kind of sketched out the history of Islam very briefly. So first there was Prophet Muhammad, which we also call like the seal of the prophets, because he combined masculinity and femininity, in my interpretation now. He combined masculinity and the feminine aspect. He was like pleasing to the Sufis, which we didn't call Sufis at the time, but like the mystics which were searching for truth.
The Ashab al-Sufa.
Yes. And he could also lead a warfare. So he was just in warfare. He would give the ethics in a warfare. So he had the masculine and the feminine aspect in him, and he completed it. Then we went to the Umayyin, which is like kind of like, I like to look at this painting, it's like a formative period. So the masculinity comes first, because we have like, after the Sahaba ruled, they needed some strict guidance. So the Umayyin kind of like, they expanded the empire. It was a masculine phase, it was a structural phase. You had like, for example, Abdul Malik bin Marwan. He started to have the currency in the empire. It was a totally expanding masculine phase of Islam. Then when the Umayyin, when they passed on the Rhine to the Abbasids, they stayed in Cordoba. So like even the Umayyin themselves, they kind of flipped into a feminine part, because then in Cordoba, it was also blossoming of philosophy. And on the other end of the empire, you had the two sides, the Abbasids. Also there they started, how come this whole empire, what drove the Greek people to such height? So they started to translate all the books of Plato and of Aristotle, and we had this Neoplatonic phase, and basically two strengths. Till Mr. Imam Ghazali, he said, on the level of ethics and religion, we have to look towards the Sufis, and we cannot follow the Greek people because we have our own mysticism. And he actually also said we cannot follow logic all the time. He actually he released two books, like The Aim of Philosophy, which really blossomed in Europe when it was translated into Latin, and the other book was like The Incoherence of Philosophy, where he said revelation is superior to logic, and this is really the
Could you repeat that? Can you repeat that again?
Yes, he said revelation is superior to logic in the realm of religion. We have to follow revelation, and that's why Imam Ghazali, he's actually called the renewer of Islam, because he really took away the Islam from. He was in danger to be really pulled away by the Greeks, by the Neoplatonic, but he kind of said no. We have our own tariq, and this is like really when Islam went off in a different side. So like Europe is more kind of like Christianity. They are more like influenced by philosophy and by thought. But in Islam, we follow mysticism and revelation. If it's taken seriously, I mean, this is really mysticism. So it's like the feminine aspect of the religion.
So a lot of your journey has, this strong element of inner dimension. There are people who have come to Islam, but more on a very surface level, in the sense of understanding the deeper philosophies and so forth. But as you're able to explain through art, in reference and in context with Quran, with universal knowledge, and even Christianity and so forth. It's quite interesting how you've been able to blend it all together.
Yes, I think it was kind of like a gift, really, nearly, but I got it. Yes, so like here I just like stretched out the thought,
right.
And here I came like how Adam and Eve, how they are mentioned in the Quran. I stretched out like these specific areas. So it's the beginning of mankind, and like when you do, in my belief, how I understand the Hajj, it's like you go to the Kaaba, the station of Prophet Ibrahim, and then you do the Tawaf anti-clockwise. So you go back at the beginning to the beginning of mankind. So then you go to Arafat and you go to the station of Prophet Adam and Eve. And they repent. They realized when they saw each other by daylight, made a mistake. Okay, so for knowledge, you need daylight. This is why you go to the Arafat on daylight. Then you contemplate on Muzdalifah. You ponder what's done. So the divine conscience comes in the dark. So this is like you ponder overnight on it, and the next day there is love. I mean, you have to have a mission, Rabbas, you have to love the mission, but also like so we go back to the beginning of mankind and Arafat. Also Prophet Muhammad, he received the last soul of the Quran on Arafat. Today I completed your religion for you. So we have the last scripture to humanity. From there we are left to our own devices. That's my understanding. From a distance at the historical flow, you had the Romans, and then the Romans, when they kind of like left their empires, Christianity came into Europe. So then we consider to go in the medieval time, in the Dark Ages, we consider the Dark Ages. As all the Hellenistic scripts were translated by Arabic people, so the flow goes actually the intellectual flow goes like Greek, then we have Arabic, and then from Arabic it was actually by the Jewish translated into Latin, and all those scriptures when they were read in Europe, they helped them to develop a philosophy in Christianity. And we started to the Renaissance, like the Christianity revived, we had the Renaissance, and the Pope Julius II, one of the big Renaissance popes, he commissioned Michelangelo to paint, depict on the Sistine Chapel. He the fresco paint on the Sistine Chapel. So he also, Michelangelo, he depicted on Adam how in the century the creation of Adam, creation of Eve, she came out of Adam, fall, and how they were expelled. This is like so I mean, like, if you want to revive a religion, the renaissance of a religion have to start with Adam and Eve. So that's why I think if you kind of like, even in Islam, if you want to regenerate mystical thinking or like revived religion, you have to start with Adam and Hawa, and you should have a visual approach to it, so it's easier to understand. It's like to me, it's really why we're giving the mythos of Adam and Hawa. It's really how we approach gender relation in Islam. Like, what are our roles and like what are our responsibilities? The woman should support.
Interesting. You just mentioned that you have to come back to Adam, but also in your particular journey, you basically had to embrace art, and to embrace art was embracing culture.
Yes.
And I don't have it with me, but I'm going to try to remember that particular poetry. That's called Embrace. That was one of my initial ones back in Riyadh. So yeah, you basically mentioned, Kitty, that we all have to go back to our origin, or we have to go back to our roots, we have to go back to our place,
To the
beginning. The earthly form would be going back to Adam and Eve. And in your particular journey, I've noticed that your journey is interconnected with art. So therefore you embrace culture, okay? And then that embracing basically brought you to understanding, basically brought you to understanding. So that, there's one particular one, embrace culture, embrace humanity and live in harmony. To live in harmony is to be in a state of unity with all our diversities, apparent and hidden. Essentially, we all come from the same man. This is not the exact words, but this is a gist of what something like that. So that basically reminded me of that. Is the revolution of love in Kitty's personal journey, which is relatable to hearts, took place not in Germany, right? This all happened here. It all happened in Arabia with the equation of art and her mystical experiences and so forth. So this journey, or as you had said, your love revolution is basically this is what it is in a nutshell.
Yes.
Art is revelation. Art is revelation. A divine inspiration, a heavenly calculation from a heart's incubation to a palate's salutation, an inner imitation, dipped in the wine of palpitation, a canvas manipulation, a mystical hibernation, a light manifestation for the world's salvation, hung for appreciation, mesmerized in admiration, glanced upon with flirtation, an intimate personification, the soul to breast fruition we call love. So today we conclude with the love revolution of Kitty Rabbas. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.